Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Shri Radha Vino Bihari Mandir, Shri Vrindavan Dham. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Patit Pavana Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaja ki jai, Harinama Sankirtana ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Dandava Pranam, all Vaishnavas.
Dandava Pranam.
Okay. Who's watching? So Jiva Pavana Prabhu has Sudevi. Can you put it facing down a little bit more so they can see the harmonium as well?
Yeah, because then just hands will be moving.
Yeah, and then they won't understand what's going on. It just will look funny.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go.
Third time in 1 week that. What? Oh, okay. Radhe Radhe. So we're starting with Shri Mangalacharan, the auspicious invocation, calling for the mercy and the grace of our Gurudev, all of our Gurus and Guru Varga, going back to the original Guru who is Krishna himself and his Prem Guru, Srimati Radhika. So that will be page 1 of this Bhajan treasure trove. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadveta Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sabhagana Lalita Shri Vishakhambikamscha Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Namine Shri Krishna Nida Shri Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Vigatharine Rupananda Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambodhe Padam Jayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestam Nirdeshta Sajana Priya Vaishnava Sarva Bhuma Shri Jagannathayate Namaha Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaganyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauravrishe Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurāṅge Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Mandam Matirgati Matsarvasvapadam Voja Radha Madanamo Divyakrindaranya-kalpadumana Śrīmad Ratnagara Simhasanastho Shri Shri Radha Śrīla Kundadevam Preshtharihi Senyamanam Smarami Shri Mangra Sarasaramhi Vangshivatandatasthitaha Karshande Nusvanargopir Gopinath Shristunaha Vrindaye Tulaside Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Pradene Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupasvarupakam Bhaktamataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Mahāda Bhakti Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadhu Jivanam Anandam Vivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Shvadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Harer Nam Harer Nam Harer Nam Eva Kevalam Valo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyatha Hare Krishna Dandava Pranama Vaishnava. I just realized when I have the Tampura playing that I can't play chords. When we recorded this Mangalacharan, I played chords on the recording, at least for the Madhav Hay CD. And we were told when we came to England, I believe it was Ananga Mohini who told us, she said that she put it on and it was playing loudly. And Gurudev came down looking for the devotees. He said, where? He thought the devotees were all assembled and doing kirtan. Where are the devotees? And I just said, oh, it's just a CD. He said, oh, I thought the devotees had come. And so I was just remembering that when Gurudev was searching for the devotees when he heard that CD playing. So somehow Gurudev blessed us to do that. He told us, even we told him we were planning on making a Braj Bhajan CD, and we asked him which songs we should put on it. And in true Gurudev style, Srila Gurudev gave about 7 Braj Bhajans. Every single one of them was for Radhika. Every single one of them. Radhe tere charnon ki, Radhe jhulana padharo, Jyoti si Kishori, Meturatu Radha Radhanam. It was just one after the next, all for Srimati Radhika. So it definitely showed his leaning. Oh, Janardhan Prabhu, I'm glad you're back now. You had heart surgery.
What?
Very interesting. Is that literal or is that figurative? Did you have some blockage or something? Anyway, I'm glad you're back and I'm glad you're feeling better now. When Srila Gurudev had his heart surgery, we were all so worried because he didn't come to Kartik for the first 2 weeks. When he gave his glorification of Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, his Gurudev, he was in the hospital bed. And as he was speaking, all of the devotees in the temple were hearing the phone call and all were weeping in separation from Gurudev, hearing his offering to his Gurudev. And then they said he was coming, and they said he was coming, and finally it was time for him to come. We were all at Govardhan, and he was supposed to come during the daytime. We were out there doing kirtan, waiting for him, outside behind the temple in Govardhan, in the back area where he would come and stay. And we were kind of on the road to the side, waiting for him to come through. And I remember hundreds of devotees there just doing kirtan for hours, and Gurudev wasn't showing up, and we were wondering, is he coming, is he not? And they even started singing, where is Gurudeva, where is Gurudeva, where is Gurudev? And finally Gurudev showed up, but very late, and there was a notification to all the devotees that we had to stay distant from him, so because he had just had some heart surgery, so that no bacteria or viruses could spread to him because he was in a weakened condition. So we all respected that. And after a day or two, we all went to his room, Sudevi, myself, Vishaka, and we wanted to give him a donation. So as we went to see him, there was something on the floor there, a piece of masking tape that was at least 6 feet away from his bed. And the devotees were supposed to keep a respectful distance, and he was supposed to wear a mask. And this was the rule. So we went with the donation, and Sudevi and Vishaka had planned to cry to Gurudev, Gurudev, please, you don't need to travel the world anymore. Everyone knows about you. They can all come to see you. You've done enough traveling. You know, because Gurudev said, if the daughter or the wife cries, then maybe the father or the husband might notice. Of course, he said, if they end up threatening suicide, then something will have to be done. But we went there, and as we were looking for which room Gurudev was in, we were searching, where is Gurudev? Which room is Gurudev? Because there were many rooms in this courtyard. Suddenly we see the doors shaking on one room, like this. And the door had been latched from the outside, but not locked, just latched. And then Gurudev, first you could see the doors shaking. Then you see Gurudev in the window with the curtains going, like, open the door. And so Sudevi and Vishaka were like, Gurudev's telling us to open the door. So they went and started unlatching the door. And just as they were unlatching it, Dvija Krishna Prabhu from down the hall, he was like all the way at the other side of the building, he was cooking for Gurudev. He was like, no, no, no. And Gurudev pulled the doors open, burst them open. And like, so much energy, he went running to his bed, boing, 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 jumped on the bed, and he was like, come in, like this. And he sat down, and he said, don't cross that line. And he put his mask on. He's like, don't cross the line. So we were like, okay. We handed the donation from a distance, gave it to him, something meager, but anyhow. And then Sudevi and Vishaka started their sob story. Srila Gurudev, you've been traveling all over the world. Everyone knows who you are now. You don't need to travel the world anymore. Srila Bhaktivedānta Śrī Maharaj never went outside of India, and everyone knows him. So you don't need to travel anymore. Please, just stay in one place, because traveling is so difficult and this and that. And Gurudev sat up really straight, because this was after, I think they inserted a stent inside or something to help his flow. They unblocked some things. So Gurudev sat up really straight, and he pulled his mask off, and he said, I feel as if Mahaprabhu has given me new life. I feel better than I have in years. Now I will travel the world and preach more and more, like this. And there was nothing we could say. The conviction that he said that with, the enthusiasm he said it with, and the strength he said it with, it left us speechless. And we realized that his only function was to serve his Gurudev, to serve his Guru Varga, and to serve Mahaprabhu. So his mood was like that. And even at the very end, years later, when he was at Govardhan, they were suggesting that he get this surgery and this thing and that thing. And his only question was, will I be able to continue to serve? Will I be able to continue to write and do my translation work? And they said, well, that's not certain, Gurudev. He said, then what's the use? So it was only if I can continue to serve, then I will do anything that's necessary to be able to serve. And then he said, anyhow, I've already done everything I needed to do. I have given everything I needed to give. So whatever, I'm not afraid to leave. But his mood was like that. He ripped that mask off and he was like, I feel better than I have in years. Mahaprabhu has given me new life. So I hope, Janardhan Prabhu, that you're feeling like that you are feeling new life, renewed energy. Okay. So, in that situation, I remember Srila Gurudev's mood was so magnanimous and so merciful, so kind. So now, we'll call out to Shri Guru. Gurudev kripa karke mujhko apna lena, page 360 in our Shri Gauri Giti Gucha, or wherever Jiva Pavana Prabhu posts, whatever he posts. The temperature in Vrindavan is slowly increasing day by day. Today, I was feeling quite warm. But still, in the evening time, there's a beautiful breeze, very cooling, very sweet, very gentle. It's that spring breeze, Dhir Samir. So 360 Gurudev Kripa Karke. And this was written for our Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Gurudev Kripa Karke Mujhko apna lena. Gurudev Kripa Karke Mujhko apna lena. मैं शरण परा तेरी चरणों में जगा देना. मैं शरण परा तेरी चरणों में जगा देना. गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना. गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना. करुणा निधि नाम तेरा करुणा बरसाओ तू. करुणा निधि नाम तेरा करुणा बरसाओ तू. सोए हुए भाग्यों को हे नाथ जगाओ तू. सोए हुए भाग्यों को हे नाथ जगाओ तू. मेरी नाव भाबर डोले उसे पार लगा देना. मेरी नाव भाबर डोले उसे पार लगा देना. गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना. गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना. तुम सुख के सागर हो भक्ति के सहारे हो. तुम सुख के सागर हो भक्ति के सहारे हो. मेरे मन में समाये हो मुझे प्राणों से प्यारे हो. मेरे मन में समाये हो मुझे प्राणों से प्यारे हो. नित्य माला जपूं तेरी मेरे दोष भुला देना. नित्य माला जपूं तेरी मेरे दोष भुला देना. गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना. गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना. मैं संतों का सेवक हूँ गुरु चरणों का दास हूँ. मैं संतों का सेवक हूँ गुरु चरणों का दास हूँ. नहीं नाथ भुलाना मुझे इस जग में अकेला हूँ. नहीं नाथ भुलाना मुझे इस जग में अकेला हूँ. तेरे द्वार का भिखारी हूँ नहीं दिल से भुला देना. द्वार का भिखारी हूँ, नहीं दिल से भुला देना गुरुदेव कृपा करके, मुझको अपना लेना गुरुदेव कृपा करके, मुझको अपना लेना। जय गुरुदेव, जय गुरुदेव, गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव, जय गुरुदेव, जय गुरुदेव, गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव। जय प्रभुपाद, जय प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद, जय प्रभुपाद, जय प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद। गुरु परंपरा, गुरु परंपरा, गुरु परंपरा, गुरु परंपरा, गुरु परंपरा, गुरु परंपरा, परंपरा गुरु परंपरा। श्रील गुरुदेव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, रूपानुग गौरी गुरुवर्ग की जय, श्री गुरु परंपरा की जय। Forward a little bit. Sakala Vaishnava Gosai Doya Koromore, calling out for the mercy of the Vaishnavas. Page 46 by Śrī Radha Mohan Das. Today, Radha Vinod Bihari Ji marriage day. Who, where, when, what, how?
What?
Lavangalata. She writes, wow, today Radha Vinod Bihari Ji marriage day. It's not possible because Parakiya Bhav.
No, but they can have
But
fake marriage.
they have like, you know, like people who are in love, they pretend that they get married. And they might even exchange rings, but it's not really the real thing, but they still have that feeling, but they're actually not married. So Radha and Krishna are like that. Sometimes, many times, the gopis make marriage parties for them, and also sometimes marriage parties are arranged for Krishna and Lalita, like at Sakigiri Parbat at Altapahari. And marriage ceremony was done Gandharva wedding style, meaning not official, at Bandirbhat. It was done by Lord Brahma, but actually it's not really a real marriage. Does it look red? Oh, there is red in it. It's kind of more orange with a little red, and then little orange bits, and then mirrors in the center.
Definitely not red.
Definitely not red. Somehow it's looking a little red in the picture.
Hot pink.
Oh, that's a hot pink
Like fuchsia.
with orange and on a kind of a cream background with mirrors, and gold top.
This is you describing.
But yeah, I mean, they look like they're like a wedding party every day. So. She said she's joking. So what is it if not an official marriage? Like I said, if two people are in love and they maybe exchange little rings, but the parents aren't there, the friends are not there, the families are not there, the yagya is not there, but they're just saying, I love you and I want to be with you forever. it's not really considered a marriage. It's like a Gandharva marriage. So in that case, it is the mood of paramour, otherwise known as Parakiya Bhav. And that is the preaching or the mood of Vrindavan. Krishna is not married to any gopi here. Maybe in a different prakosht, in greater Goloka Vrindavan, but not in proper Gokul Vrindavan, there is an aspect of Krishna, like a Dwarkadish, like a Mathuresh, who is married to a manifestation of Radharani, but the ras doesn't go on like it goes on here in this Gokul Vrindavan. But the preaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the preaching of Rupa Goswami, the preaching of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the preaching of our Gurudev, Parakiya Bhave Jaha Brajete Prachar. This is Parakiya Bhav. Lakshmi Devi also wanted to enter into the Rasalila of Krishna, but he told her, here, there's only Parakiya Bhav. So if you marry another Gopa, and then come to join us, come to join our Rasalila, then you can join. And she said, I can't marry someone other than you. So this is another proof that only Parakiya Bhav. Now Parakiya Bhav means the mood of paramour. We should be very careful to understand that Parakiya Bhav does not mean actual Parakiya. There's a mood and then there's an actual activity. This mood is the mood that the gopis have. Really, they all belong to Krishna. They are all directly manifestations of Radhika's praying for Krishna, all of her different moods of love and affection. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis Tabhirya Eva Nija Rupataya Kalabhi. Means they're all like phases, manifestations of her own moods of love and affection for Krishna, taking form. And she is of Krishna himself. Radha Purna Shakti, Krishna Purna Shaktiman. He is the complete possessor of all Shakti. She is the complete Shakti. And between these two, Dui Vastu, between these two transcendental substances, Vastu or personalities, Bhedanai, there is no difference according to all revealed scriptures. Just as there's no difference between fire and the heat of fire, you cannot take heat out of fire. It is a natural component of fire. Or the scent of musk from musk. What is the meaning of musk without its scent? There's no meaning to it. In the same way, there's no meaning to Radhika without Krishna, and there's no meaning to Krishna without Radhika. This question, Bhaktivedānta Thakur is praying. And I just want to qualify it. These questions relating to Manjari Bhav, Tattva, and all of like this are a bit elevated. We don't always feel so comfortable speaking about them in such a public forum. So just to let you know, this is something that we treat very, very, very carefully, with so much honor and respect and the highest dignity. Bhaktivedānta Thakur is praying in that bhajan, Dekite Dekite. When, oh when, will my marriage be done in Javat? Javate Vivaha Habe. So, technically, according to Vedic culture, previously people were married when they were very, very young. Our Gurudev was married when he was very young, and his wife was very young. They did not live together until they were more mature. But people used to get married very, very young. And that actually kept the society in a state of balance where dharma could be prominent versus lust being prominent. If you know this is the person for me and the other one knows this is the person for me, then it reduces the tendency of needing to find someone. A lot of people are, I've met so many, like, afraid, well, what if I don't have anyone? What if no one's going to want me? This kind of thing. But in that time, it was all regulated like that. So they are young enough to have been, old enough to have been married, but young enough to never live with their husbands. In other words, they can devote their time exclusively to serving Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. So, Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Daya Koramore. Look at that. That one little comment about looks like marriage party. Page 46. Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Daya Koromore Dante Trina Dhori Kohe Edina Pamare. Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Daya Koromore Dante Trina Dhori Kohe Edina Pamare. Shri Guru Charanayar Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Shri Guru Charanayar Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Pada Padma Pavaya More Koro Dhanya. Pada Padma Pavaya More Koro Dhanya. Tomara Sabara Korona Bine Iha Prapti Nai. Toma Sabara Koruna Bine Iha Prapti Nai. Visheshe Ajogya Mui Kohilo Nishchoy. Visheshe Ajogya Mui Kohilo Nishchoy. Vancha Kalpataruha Koruna Sagaro. Vancha Kalpataruha Koruna Sagaro. Eto Bharasamui Dhoriye Antaro. Eto Bharasamui Dhoriye Antaro. Gunalesha nahi moro aparadher sima. Amayudhariya loke dekhao mahima. Gunalesha nahi moro aparadher sima. Amayudhariya loke dekhao mahima. Nama sankirtana ruchi ar prema dhano. Nama sankirtana ruchi ar prema dhano. E Radha Mohane deho hoya sakaruna. E Radha Mohane deho hoya sakaruna. Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Daya Koromore Dante Trina Dhori Kohe Edina Pamare. Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Daya Koromore Dante Trina Dhori Kohe Edina Pamare. Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Vaishnava Thakur Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Prabhu Kripa Koro More Doya Koro. Kripa Koro More Doya Koro. Prabhu Kripa Koro More Doya Koro. Prabhu Kripa Koro More Doya Koro. All Vaishnava Thakurs ki jai. Young Kalirupa Sharira Nadharata, praying for the mercy, the grace, the benevolent sidelong glances of Śrī Rupa Gosvāmī Pad. Yang Kalirupa Sharira Nadharata, yang kalirupa sharirānadhārata yang kalirupa sharirānadhārata yang kalirupa sharirānadhārata tan braja prema mahanidhi putarika tan braja prema mahanidhi putarika konakapata ugharata konakapata ugharata yang kalirupa sharirānadhārata yang kalirupa sharirānadhārata nirakirahāṅsana pāno vidhāyana nirakirahāṅsana pāno vidhāyana guna pritākakaripāyata guna pritākakaripāyata kosabatyaji bhaji vrindavana kosabatyaji bhaji vrindavana kosabagrantha virachita kosabagrantha virachita yang kalirupa sharirānadhārata yang kalirupa sharirānadhārata jab pituvana pula phalathanana vidha jab pituvana pula phalathanana vidha manoraji arvinda manoraji arvinda somadhukar binu panakono janata somadhukar binu panakono janata vidyamana paribandha vidyamana paribandha yang kalirupa sharirānadhārata yang kalirupa sharirānadhārata ko janoto mathura vrindavana ko Yang Kali Rupa Sharira Nadharupa Jakar Charane Prasade Sakala Jano Jakar Charana Prasade Sakala Jano Gai Govai Sukha Pavoto Gai Govai Sukha Pavoto Charana Kamale Sharanagata Madho Charana Kamale Sharanagata Madho Tava Mahima Uranagata Tava Mahima Ura Lagato Yang Kali Rupa Sharira Nadharata Yang Kali Rupa Sharira Nadharata Tanbraja Prema Mahanidhi Kutharika Tanbraja Prema Mahanidhi Kutharika Tanbraja Prema Mahanidhi Kutharika Tanbraja Prema Mahanidhi Kutharika Kaunakapata Ugharata Kaunakapata Ugharata Yang Kali Rupa Sharira Nadharata Yang Kali Rupa Sharira Nadharata Rupa Gosvāmī Prabhu Rupa Gosvāmī 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 Prabhu He 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 Rupa 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 He Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī Pāda Ki Jai Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī Pāda Ki Jai Śrī Sat Gosvāmī Prabhu Ki Jai. Today, Sudevi and I were discussing something. Srila Gurudev gave a name for a band, one of the groups, kirtan groups, amongst his disciples. And that was the group that Sudevi's brother wanted to form with a few other devotees from Brazil. And her brother's name is Gopal, and he wanted to name the band the Babajis. And so we went to see Srila Gurudev. This was in Munich, just after his very last festival in Italy. I think that was near Pisa, Marina di Massa. And So just after that, he went to Munich, and then from there back to India, then to Russia, and back to India again. So we went to see him, and Sudevi says to Srila Gurudev, my brother wants to make a kirtan band, and they want to call themselves the Babajis. And Gurudev's like, no, all will hate them. He just said it like that. And he said, better. And then he started thinking for a long time. He was thinking and thinking and thinking. And then he said, better, Rup Kirtan Mandali. Rup Kirtan Mandali. And so Sudevi and I were discussing that today. What a beautiful name for a group or kirtan group, that they are doing the kirtan of Rupa Gosvāmī. Mandali means group. So all of the different kirtan groups, when they come together and assemble, it's like the congregational chanting, you will call it Kirtan Mandali. That's got nothing to do with my name previous to my dictionary. So Kirtan Mandali is when a bunch of people come together to do kirtan. Just like Rasa Mandal. Mandal means circle or gathering. So he said, Rup Kirtan Mandali. That means the kirtan that one does should be representative of Rupa Gosvāmī. Should be favorable to Rupa Gosvāmī. Should bring one to the lotus feet of Rupa Gosvāmī. Should bring one to where Rupa Gosvāmī wants to bring you. Should be full of Gauravani. And should inspire one on the path of bhakti, which leads to the perfection that Rupanuga Vaishnavas want to bring us to. So when Srila Gurudev made that name, he gave the name. From his own heart, he gave the name Rup Kirtan Mandali. We were so happy and so excited. And then he told me, because we were talking, he said something to the effect of, not all Babajis are bad. And then he said, you can write something about it. The good Babajis versus those that are not good. And this is something that we should understand very clearly. Because so many persons with the name Babaji have committed or done so many nefarious activities in the name of bhakti, in the name of Rupa Gosvāmī, in the name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then it has in essence been tainted. That name has been tainted. But then we look and we see, wait, there's Srila Gaurkishoras Babaji Maharaj, Vangshidas Babaji Maharaj. So many bona fide Babajis in our line. Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, all of our Goswamis were Babajis. They weren't as sannyasis. Rupa Gosvāmī. And the name Babaji came because Baba means like father, elderly person. So when they see me, and I have my beard and it's white, and they see me with tilak and dressed, and people in the street call me Baba also. And Ji is just a term of endearment. But when they would see them, they would give them respect as sadhus and call them Babaji. So then it became known, Babaji Besh, means they're wearing the cloth of a Babaji. But it wasn't like at that time that they were initiated into Babaji. Now they can become like that, where one is initiated. Our Gurudev also gave Babaji initiation to certain persons and sannyas to others. So generally for Babajis, they will be in a situation, or maybe it's not so easy for them to go out and preach. So they're more absorbed in their own bhajan, bhajananandi. Whereas others, like those who receive the sannyas, vesh and the danda and like that, they go out and preach. So you would call them ghoshtiyanandis. So one is doing bhajan and absorbed in the bliss of doing bhajan, and the other one is going out and sharing and preaching and absorbed in that. And both are good. Those who are following properly are good Babajis. Gaurkishoras Babaji Maharaj is the prime example of good. Bhaktivedānta Thakur also did not receive sannyas and a danda. He also wore this Babaji vesh. But for preaching purposes, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada reinstituted the sannyas vesh. Prior to the 6 Goswamis, the sannyas vesh was there. Śrī Dāmodara Gosvāmī was sannyasi. Madhavendra Puripad was sannyasi. Ishwar Puripad, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, so many were sannyasis. And there's so many sannyasis in Madhvacharya's line and everything. If you want to know more about this subject, I recommend you read the chapter within Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Maharaja's 5 essential essays. He really wanted that published and wanted all of his disciples to be familiar with the concepts therein, because he knew that we would frequently come up against so much preaching which goes against our Gaudiya Vaishnava line. Bhaktivedānta, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Dhara, means the line of Bhaktivedānta Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. And all of the proofs from Shastra are given within those 5 essential essays to show what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. Although sannyas is considered to be forbidden in Kali Yuga, some people just take that, well, it's forbidden, so we can't have sannyas. But then if you see, it gives the appropriate quotes from Shastra, what kind of sannyas is forbidden and what is not forbidden. So many details are given there, and Srila Gurudev wanted us to become familiar with them. Another subject there is called Bhagavat Guru Parampara, the charm and superiority of Bhagavat Guru Parampara. So there's so many different conceptions. Let me just check here. Okay. Oh, thank you for posting that, Janardhan Prabhu. Yes, 5 essential essays. So Srila Gurudev did say, he said, you can write something about what is the difference between good and not good. And I wanted to make the point that this is essential for us, because if we just lump everyone into one category, oh, they have the name Babaji and Pa, then we are also lumping in all of our Guru Varga who have that title Babaji, and also any bona fide Vaishnava who has that title Babaji. In the same way that you could lump in all Gaudiya Mat, or you can lump in all ISKCON, or you can lump in all Brahmins, or you can lump in all devotees, or you can lump in all Vaishnavas. You can easily categorize and stereotype an entire group of people, and by that very easily you can make so much Vaishnava aparat. So we look at things according to individual in their individual qualifications. But also there are general ideas. For us, it is not favorable to accept the association of those who even are very nice, very sweet, very kind, even very devotional, but they do not respect or accept Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. For us, okay, they're chanting Hare Krishna, they have faith in the teachings of Rupa Goswami and Mahaprabhu, but it's not favorable for my progression on the path of bhakti, so pranam forever. Respect, but distance. Hare Krishna. Because if my guru and his guru and his guru is cut, then how am I going to be able to make progress? Think about it this way. If I accept my Gurudev, but I don't respect his Gurudev, will he give me his mercy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He would reject me in a heartbeat. And if I don't respect his Guru's Guru, will his Gurudev give mercy? Absolutely not. You think Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj would give you his mercy if you reject his Guru Maharaj? He'll take you to court. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, if you reject Bhaktivinoda Thakur, will he look at you? He won't even look at your face. He has a beautiful article entitled Thakur Bhaktivinod. You can find it on bblmu.org. Please, Janardhan Prabhu, post it. So, it is called Thakur Bhaktivinod, and you can see the conviction, the adoration, the admiration that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada has for his Guru, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So if I'm disrespecting them or associating with those who are disrespecting them or cutting them, then what will happen? I will be cutting the branch that I am sitting on, in essence, and I will lose any mercy that would come. No mercy will flow if I'm cutting that branch. the only thing that will happen is I will become in a dangerous or damaged situation. So Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj would not even look at the faces of those who were disrespectful and offensive towards Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. Even his own god brothers, even his own birth brother, his own blood brother, twisted and rejected the teachings of his own Gurudev Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. And our Param Gurudev felt that anyone who even went to that temple where he was polluted and didn't look again or talk to his blood brother, who was also his god brother, and would make those persons do a 3-day fast before they could come back. They had to do some atonement because they had become polluted. So if we want to receive mercy, then we need to hold on very tightly to the lotus feet of our Gurudev. Guru Nishta is the backbone of bhakti. If we don't have Nishta in our Gurudev, then very easily we can mix with so many and think, oh, this is really sweet, this is really nice. But would my Gurudev be happy if I was there? That's the question. Once upon a time, we went to visit someone and we got stuck in a situation which I believed and felt very strongly my Gurudev would not be pleased with. And because our Gurudev, I want to use this term, ordained, he actually ordered us to preach on his behalf, then we're in a situation of being public representatives of our Gurudev. So if we get ourselves into a compromised situation, then that actually does not look good for our Gurudev. And we got ourselves into just such a situation where I was reading a book from someone who doesn't accept Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. They handed it to me, and I didn't know who it was from, and they asked me to read it, and I was reading it, and they were filming it and broadcasting it, and I realized this is not favorable for my relationship with my Gurudev and my Guru Varga. So then I respect, I honor, I have affection, but I had to distance myself for the pleasure, for the service of my Gurudev and for the continuation of my relationship with my Gurudev and Guru Varga. So this is essential to take all of these things into consideration. What is favorable for the development of my relationship and conviction in the lotus feet of my Gurudev? Then I will accept that in my life. Even any shiksha meaning further instructions from other Vaishnavas. The function of Shiksha Guru, according to our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, is to increase one's faith in the teachings, in the observances, in the ways of one's Diksha Guru. If they fail to do so, Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj always had some harsh words to say. He said they're not even Vaishnavas. What to speak of that? He even used the word demon. Meaning if they're taking you away from your conviction in the lotus feet of your Guru and bringing you away from that, then this is directly opposed to what is favorable for bhakti. Why? Because Ado Guru Parashray. First of all, one must surrender to the lotus feet of Guru. And if one does not do this, then Krishna will not accept your service. So if your association, even in the form of senior personalities, is taking you away from your conviction in the lotus feet of your Gurudev, this is actually in essence stopping the flow of bhakti. Who stops the flow of bhakti? Not the Vaishnavas. Those who have a Vaishnava, meaning opposite moods to Vaishnavism, they will stop your flow of bhakti. And it might look like bhakti on the outside, but on the inside it has some other sinister plot. And this is something we must have very firm understanding on. What is going to increase my faith in the words and teachings of my Gurudev? Not change it, not twist it, not superimpose something else upon it, not adjust it in some way. What will increase my faith there? Then I will take that association. If it is not, then Hare Krishna, Pranam, Dandavat, Radhe Radhe, but I will continue on my path. This is how one can attain Nishta. firm conviction in the lotus feet of one's Gurudev. Bhayam dvitiyabni beshatasya risharapeyasya viparyayo smriti tanmayayato buddha abhajittam bhaktyai kayesham Gurudeva Tatma. There's a beautiful booklet by our Srila Gurudev, Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. He gave many classes on Guru Tattva based on this verse. And after he gave the classes, he wanted it to be published as a book. He said, you should make a book of these classes. So the devotees published this booklet, Gurudeva Tatma. And it said one should see their Gurudev as their very Atma, their very heart and soul. Only one who does this, they will be able to cross over the barriers of Maya. Let me just look back. Somebody asked a question about sannyas. Why did they take sannyas from a Mayavad sannyasi guru in the time of Lord Chaitanya? At that time, it wasn't common to find so many Vaishnava sannyasis. Even if you see at the time, you would find many persons who were sannyas, but not so many. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming just after the time of Madhavendra Puri and Ishvara Puripad. But even Madhavendra Puripad received sannyas from those others. So sannyas was the ashram of renunciation. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, according to our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, told into what is his name? His sannyas guru. Come on, okay. Whoever gives me the answer to this really quickly, you get my next pizza. Keshav Bharati. Okay, I get my next pizza. Thank you. So, he tells into the ear of Keshav Bharati because he needed to take sannyas. Why did Mahaprabhu need to take sannyas? Because people weren't respecting him properly. It's Sudevi just told me not to get any ideas. Even if someone is a nonsense, when they put on that cloth and like that, everyone does pranam and they give all sorts of respect and give donations and all kinds of things like that. We've seen it time and time again, even if they're not preaching pure bhakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw, especially because he was absorbed in this mood, he was becoming more and more absorbed in Gopi Bhav. So as he was saying Gopi, 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 some of his students started to question him. It seems like our teacher is going a little bit mad. They weren't respecting him properly. And he became upset. They didn't understand his mood. Why are you saying Gopi, Gopi, Gopi? You should chant Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Well, if Radhika is in Man, then she might be calling for her gopis instead of Krishna. And if they're saying, you chant Krishna, 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 this will create some kind of rasa abhas, an incompatible mixture of rasas, which he's trying to taste. So in this case, he realized that they're not respecting him properly. Through this sannyas vesh, carrying a danda and this sannyas, he will get the proper respect he needs in order to do what he needs to do, which is to preach Krishna bhakti. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to take sannyas, and he had to give up that thing which was most dear to him in this world. So that night, he left home, went to the ghat in the Ganga, which is known as Nirdoi Ghat. Nirdoi means without mercy, because he left all the residents of Navadvip in intense, deep separation, jumped into the Ganga and swam for a long time, ended up downstream and went to Katwa. And there he shaved up and received sannyas from Keshava Bharati, who was initiated into the Ekadanda sannyas, Mayavad line. Now, our Guru Varga have told that first he told to Keshav Bharati in his ear, is this the mantra that you plan to give me? And Keshav Bharati said yes. So in essence, by telling him the mantra, he initiated Keshav Bharati into that mantra from the Vaishnava perspective. And then Keshav Bharati told him in his ear this mantra. So from the Bhagavan aspect, you can say he gave, and then again he received this mantra. So although on the external it looked like he received Mayavad sannyas, really he had pre-initiated his sannyas guru, because he is the original guru of everyone. So he had pre-initiated him and then received that mantra from Keshav Bharati. And of course he received a single danda, but when he went further on, he met with Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He kept his danda with Nityananda Prabhu for some time when he went to go to one temple. When he came back, Nityananda Prabhu took that danda, broke it into 3 pieces and threw it into the river. That is the Danda Bhanga Nadi, the river known as the bent or broken danda. He broke it into 3 pieces. For what purpose? Because the Ekavads or the Ekavads believe only in oneness. But Nityananda Prabhu was showing 3 things. We need 3. Bhagavan, Vishai, Ashray means the servitor, and what is between them. There's a flow of something. There's the love, the affection, the service, and reciprocation. So these 3 things, for so many reasons. So Nityananda Prabhu then further educated our sannyas, our observance. But the observance of Vaishnava sannyas has always been there in Shastra. So that's all written about in that book, the 5 Essential Essays. Are we talking about accepting half a hen? Not anymore. When we were speaking about, we were talking about literally killing the whole thing. If you are sitting on a branch high up in a tree and you are cutting that branch that you are sitting on, what will happen?
Would Prabhupada look at you? Would Gurudev? No. You lose everything.
If you are cutting Bhaktivedānta Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada out of the picture, would Śrīla Prabhupada, Bhaktivedānta Swami Maharaj, glance favorably toward you? Would our Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj or Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj or Bhakti Jivan Maharaj, would our Gurudev, would Śrīla Gaur Govinda Maharaj, would any of our Guru Varga glance at us favorably if we have cut Bhaktivedānta Thakur or Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada out? No. You'd be cutting the flow. And the reason I was using that as an example, if you cut the branch, then what kind of flow is coming in? What kind of nourishment will be flowing into that branch? It won't be. And what will happen? It will dry up. It's not that our Guru Varga will dry up, we will dry up. And what will happen when that branch dries? It will collapse. And when it collapses, in other words, destruction to our inclination in bhakti. We will lose everything. So definitely not half a hen. It is the whole hen that is being demolished if we reject or disrespect our Purva Acharyas in our Guru Varga. If we want the mercy of our Gurudev, we must accept his Gurudev. If we want the mercy of our Param Gurudev, we must accept his Gurudev. If we want the mercy of our Param Gurudev, we must accept his Gurudev. That means we have to accept Srimati Radhika, otherwise we will never get the mercy of Krishna or any of our Guru Varga. Right? Because she is his Prem Guru. Yes, Sonam. Such an offense is not acceptable even if you're a blood relative of pure devotees like Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. Our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj rejected his blood relative because of that offense to his Guru and never spoke to him again his whole life. Never spoke to him again, never looked at him again. He took him to court, but he never spoke to him again. So this is also like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He left home and never looked back because his brother had participated in offending Sri Mini Ketan Ram Das, and also Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So by that was the logic of the half a hen that Sonam was speaking about. But in this case, we weren't talking about a half a hen. We were talking about the whole thing, the whole shlamil. The whole enchilada. For those of you who are from Mexico, you know what I'm talking about. So, Param Gurudev wouldn't look at the face of God brothers or blood brother who deviated from Narasingha Guru. Yes. What is favorable with the relationship between myself and my Gurudev? I will do that. Yes. What's the name of the book? 5 Essential Essays? That book or another one? Oh, maybe it's Guru Deva Tatma. I think Janarda may have posted a link to that, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, good. Can you please post a link to Guru Deva Tatma also? 5 Essential Essays is already there, Guru Deva Tatma. And we also have the link to the article by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada glorifying Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. It is amazing. It is so beautiful, so powerful, and so telling. What is Guru Nishta? And what is the qualification of that topmost Guru? And who is Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur? My God, so beautiful. The one on Guru Tattva, Guru Deva Tatma. Okay. So, Jai Jai Nityananda Rohini Kumar, page 64. I guess I don't need to yell. I have the microphone right here. Sorry. Oh, Sudevi, can you please provide me with some more water? Water. Radhe Radhe. I don't know. I'll look. Thank you, Jiva Pavana Prabhu. Okay. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jayo Jayo Nityananda Rohini Kumar Jayo Jayo Nityananda Rohini Kumar Patito Udharo Lagi মগলোচন ভূ রয়ে নিরন্তর দগমগলোচন ভূ রয়ে নিরন্তর সোনার কমলে যেন হৃদয়ে ভ্রমর সোনার কমলে যেন হৃদয়ে ভ্রমর দয়ার ঠাকুর নেতায় পর দুঃখ জানে দয়ার ঠাকুর নেতায় পর দুঃখ জানে হরি নামে মালা গাঁথি দিল জগ জনে হরি নামের মালা গাঁথি দিল জগ জনে পাপি পাষণ্ডী যত করিল দলন পাপি পাষণ্ডী যত করিল দলন দীনহীন জানে কইলা প্রেম বিতরণ দীনহীন জানে কইলা প্রেম বিতরণ আহারে গৌরাঙ্গ বলি হরে ভূমি তলে আহারে গৌরাঙ্গ বলি হরে ভূমি তলে শরীর ভিজিল নেতায় নয়নের জলে শরীর ভিজিল নেতায় নয়নের জলে বৃন্দাবন দাস মনে এর ছাড়িল বৃন্দাবন দাস মনে এ বিচারিল ধরণী উপরে কিবা সুমেরু পরিল ধরণী উপরে কিবা সুমেরু পরিল জয় জয় নিত্যানন্দ রোহিণী কুমার জয় জয় নিত্যানন্দ রোহিণী কুমার पावन श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम शचिनंदन गौर हरि की जय। Are Bhai Bhajo Mor Gauranga Charana. Page 81 by Śrīla Narottam Das Thakur. Are Bhai, my dear brother. Might be a little bit more difficult to find. Are Bhai Bhajo Mor Gauranga Charana. Page 81. Are Bhai Bhajo Mor Gauranga Charana. Are Bhai Bhajo Mor Gauranga Charana. Na bhajiya mainu dukhe Dubigriha vishakupe. Na bhajiya mainu dukhe Shakupe Dagha koilo e pacho parano. Dagha koilo e pacho parano. Are Bhai Bhajo Mor Gauranga Charana. Are Bhai Bhajo Mor Gauranga Charana. Tapatroi Vishanole Aharni Shohiya Jale. Tapatroi Vishanole Aharni Shohiya Jale. Deho soda hoyo ya chetano. Deho soda hoyo ya chetano. Ripu vasho indriya hoilo Gaurapado Pashorilo. Ripu vashindriya hoilo Gaurapado Pashorilo. Vimukh hoilo Vimukh hoilo heno dhano. Vimukh hoilo heno dhano. Heno goro doyamo কাই মনে লোহরে শরণ কাই মনে লোহরে শরণ পরম দুর্মতি ছিল তারে গোরায় উদ্ধারিল পরম দুর্মতি ছিল তারে গোরায় উদ্ধারিল তার হইল পতিত পাবন তার হইল পতিত পাবন গৌরদ্বিজ নটরাজে বান্ধ হৃদয় মাঝে গৌরাদ্বিজ নটরাজে বান্ধ হৃদয় মাঝে কি করিবে সংসার সমন কি করিবে সংসার সমন নরোত্তম দাস কহে গোরা সম কেহ নহে নরোত্তম দাসে কহে গৌরা সম কেহ নহে না ভজিতে দেয় প্রেম ধন 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 আরে ভাই ভজ মো গৌরাঙ্গ চরণ আরে ভাই ভজ মো গৌরাঙ্গ চরণ জয় সচিনন্দন জয় গৌর হরি 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 গৌর হে 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 प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम शचिनंदन गौर हरि की जय. Because I don't sing this one very often, I'm going to read the translation. Sudevi? Ding dong. Oh my dear brother, just worship the lotus feet of my Lord Gauranga. Because I have not performed such worship, I am dying of sorrow. Having plunged. Wait. What does he need to do?
Okay, no problem.
No problem.
You don't need to come in?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Be careful. It's dark and dangerous.
Be careful. Yes, don't do that. Stop.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. Ratki Same.
I thought it was Sudevi and Anu.
We thought it was Sudevi and Anup, the Pure Cow Seva team. Sudevi did comment earlier but maybe they went out. Okay. Yes, we used to have one of those bells when we were young, and now we have it again. Again, I'm going to start. O my dear brother, just worship the lotus feet of my Lord Gauranga. Because I have not performed such worship, I am dying of sorrow. Having plunged into the poisonous well of household life, my 5 life airs are burning. Dubigriha vishakupe dagda koilo e panchaparan. This reminds me of what Srila Gurudev told Sudevi's brother. Sudevi told Gurudev, my brother, this was years ago, my brother has a girlfriend. And Gurudev was like, don't do. He said, the well. It's on. He said, it's like a burning well. Do you understand what I'm saying? And Gopal was like, no. He was young. And Gurudev said, the well, it's on fire. We have seen these things. And Gopal just kind of looked like a deer in headlights. It was kind of sad and cute all at the same time. And Gurudev was like, don't do, the well is on fire.
I'm so scared for him.
But he did experience that fire.
Oh my God.
Yes. Wow. And his 5 life airs were burning, for sure. Day and night my heart burns in the blazing poisonous fire of the threefold miseries of material existence. Anyone who can name those threefold miseries, and you have to name all 3, will get 3 rasmalais and 3 samosas. With chutney. Tamarind chutney this time. Thus and you have to do it in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, according to what Mahaprabhu says in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Thus my body repeatedly falls unconscious, my senses subjugated by the cardinal vices of lust, anger, greed, etc. Madness, envy, pride. What is it? Kam, krodha, lobha, madam, moha, madam, matsarya. Envy. I have forgotten the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga and remain averse to that great treasure. That's like us. He's actually telling it out of his humility, but really he's speaking our truth. I cannot say your truth, but we have received so much. We've been hearing about the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Guru and Vaishnavas, Krishna, for so many years. But how often do we just kind of push it to the side and do all kinds of other important things, not considering how rare, how fragile, how valuable our human form of life is. And it's the only form of life that can allow us to endeavor for perfection. How easily can we lose it? In a moment. So easily. So, earlier I didn't tell you, but I was talking about cutting branches or the branches of a tree drying up or anything like that. And this was years ago, about 20 years ago. An old dry branch, there was someone working there and it fell on someone, and it was just boom, in a moment, finished. And we put so much emphasis on everything else. When I have time, I can do my bhakti. But now I have so many important things to do. I have to make sure I have my income set. I have to make sure my place looks nice. I have to add this luxury and that enjoying thing and this thing and that thing. I'm putting so much energy into so many material and mundane things. What's important? I need to scroll through Facebook and watch my favorite videos and see who's doing what. I need to check the news and see what's going on. I need to know about all of the fake science and conspiracies and share that with the world. I need to put so much time into everything else that I have no time left for any sincere endeavor on the path of bhakti. So Narottam Das Thakur is saying, my senses are subjugated by the cardinal vices. I have forgotten the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga and remain averse to that great treasure. And you think maybe I'm not averse to it, but when the opportunity comes up, because we have already put so much energy into everything else, whatever we put our energy into, this is what increases our attachment, right? Dhyayato vishaya pungsam. While contemplating the objects of the senses, one develops attachment for them. It's not just for persons, it's for things, ideas. Whatever we're focusing on, we develop attachment for it. And if we're developing attachment for things which are abhinivesh, or not directly in connection with Krishna, then when the opportunity comes to do anything really favorable for bhakti, we have no energy for that, because I've put so much energy elsewhere. Then we feel like it is difficult. It's like energy. It's like walking through quicksand or something that's just difficult to trudge through, to move forward on the path of bhakti, where it's very easy to run toward all mundane things. For those who are actually fully absorbed in meditating on Krishna and Krishna bhakti, when it comes to doing mundane things, that becomes a difficult thing for them. It's difficult to trudge through that. But for bhakti, because that's where their contemplation is, that becomes the easy path. So we can check our own pulses and see. So here Narottam Das Thakur is saying, remaining averse to that great treasure. Oh my God, you mean I have to get up? I have to take care of Thakurji? I have to cook for Thakurji? Why can't I just sleep? Why can't I just... I have other important things to do. I have to go on vacation. I can't look after my Thakurji. I'll put them in a box for 2 weeks or a week or whatever and let them rest. And maybe someone else can mentally serve them, or maybe I can just mentally offer them the food before I eat it wherever I am in the world. So I put them in the box. This is aversion. And I go and enjoy this material world. We do the same thing with our Gurudev. We do the same thing when we go out into the world and try to blend in and pretend so that no one can see what kind of nonsense we are doing. No one will know I'm a devotee, so they won't criticize the devotees. But then again, I can do whatever nonsense I'm doing without thinking that anyone knows, except Paramatma's in the heart, which means Chaitya Guru's in the heart, which means Gurudev knows, Vaishnavas know. Like that story Sudevi told of her mother on Gurudev's day. This is before her mother took initiation. She had developed a very difficult situation after many, many years of difficult relationship. Her husband left her high and dry with a 4-year-old son to maintain, and no money. Actually, he left her in serious debt, which she spent the next 10 years paying off. And she was in such a state of difficulty, even after having been a devotee for so many years. Finally, she just needed to take a little something to take the edge off. You know what I'm talking about. And so she just took a little half glass. This is the first time in 20, 30 years that she took anything. Just a little something to take the edge off, to relax. That very night, she had a dream of someone she had never seen before, not even in a photo. Never met before. She had only heard about. That person had a white beard, beautiful glowing golden skin, the most dazzling jewel-like blue eyes. And he was sitting next to her on the couch. And he said to her, "You have taken something? You have taken something?" She said, "A little." And in her dream, immediately, he was on the opposite side of the couch from her, but still looking at her with compassion. And he said, in these exact words, "I do not want that you take these things." Just like that. And she was quite startled. She woke up from that dream quite startled. And then she started asking Sudevi, "What does your guru look like?" She said, "He's got a white beard, most beautiful glowing golden skin, most dazzling, beautiful blue eyes. You sent her a picture? And then she showed her a picture. And she said, oh my God, that was him. She had never seen him before. That was him. He came to me in my dream. She had never seen him, a picture or anything before that moment. He came to her and he gave her instruction. Seeing that we are forgetful. So Sri Guru is there witnessing. Even she had never met him. Subsequently to that, she accepted him as her Guru. But before that time, she didn't know. But still, he's there as a witness. He saw what thing she was doing that was unfavorable for bhakti. Came in her dream and gave her instruction in his own voice. Who speaks like that? I do not want that you take something that you... What did he say exactly?
I do not want that you take this.
I do not want that you take these things like that. So, in other words, we think that we're not being seen, but not only does our Guru see, not only does Paramatma see, 33 million demigods also see. Everyone sees. And all spirits, all ghosts, everything else. Just not the few humans that we think can't see us. We know, and all of those subtle beings know, but we pretend. Our pretense is something like an animal who sees a vehicle coming toward them and puts their head in the sand and is telling them, you don't see me, you don't see me, you don't see me. Well, it's just that I'm not seeing, but they see. Only we don't see. Just because we pretend that they can't see doesn't mean they can't see. Just because we might turn the picture around the other way doesn't mean that they're not aware. They are aware. Gurudev is the manifestation of the supreme witness who has been with us since time without beginning. He knows everything, much more than we know. He looked at one devotee's forehead, who was an astrologer, and he said, on your forehead, I can see, what did he say, 100,000? Something like that, 100,000 lifetimes. He could see more if he wanted, but instantaneously he can see all of that. We might be able to see one, maybe. And we don't know about previous lifetimes and all of that that's in there. Sri Guru knows. It's up to us to accept that. And it's not that he will actually fully reject us ever, but he might externally do so to teach us a lesson. What is the meaning of disciple? Disciple means, according to Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, to voluntarily place oneself in the position where severe discipline is inflicted upon one by their guru. Means I'm accepting you and your discipline for my own good. So Narottam Das Thakur is saying, I have forgotten the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga and I remain averse to that great treasure. We think we're not averse. But what is the meaning of averse? Averse means I have turned my face away from that and gone to everything else, which I have now put so much importance on. That is my reality, my current reality. And then outside I say I'm a devotee or a devotee. But am I really devoted? Am I trying to engage all of my senses in service? As much devoted to Krishna and Guru and Gauranga as I would be if I fell in love with someone and spent all of my mind, my attention, my time, my money and everything absorbed in them? So, how to increase that devotion bit by bit by bit, anyhow it's necessary. The cleaning doesn't happen all at once, but it needs to take place. And the requirement on us from our Gurudev is that we don't add more dirt, more sharp objects, more junk into that space that he's trying to clean out. Leaving aside all of your fears and hesitation, take shelter of the merciful Sri Gauranga. And with body and mind, because he has rescued those who are most wicked and sinful. He is known as Patita Pavana, Savior of the fallen. If you bind Sri Gauranga, the king of the Brahmanas and the best of dancers, within your heart, then what will material existence and death be able to do to you? Narottam Das says, there is no one equal to Sri Gauranga. Even without being worshipped, he bestows the treasure of prem. Beautiful. Shri Narottam Das Thakur ki jai. Sudevi is reminding us of Srila Gurudev at the moment. Gurudev would always end his festivals and even any class that was very strong with the words, "Don't be hopeless." So now we will call out for the mercy of Krishna. Bandhu sange jadi taba ranga parihas. And tomorrow for us is Ekadashi. Page 124 in our Bhajan Treasure Trove. 124. Dandavat Pranam. बंधु संगे जदि तब रंग परिहास 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 ताके अभिलाष काके अभिलाष बंधु संगे जदि तब रंग परिहास बंधु संगे जदि तब रंग परिहास तबे मोर कथारको जेयो नाको तबे मोर कथारको जेयो नाको मथुराय केशी तीर्थ घाते रसकाश मथुराय केशी तीर्थ घाते रसकाश बंधु संगे जदि तब रंग परिहास बंधु संगे जदि तब रंग परिहास गोविंद विग्रह धोरी तथा अचेन हरि गोविंद विग्रह धोरी तथा अचेन हरि नयने बंकिम दृष्टि मुखे मंदहास नयने बंकिम दृष्टि मुखे मंदहास बंधु संगे जदि तब रंग परिहास बंधु संगे जदि तब रंग परिहास किबा त्रिभंगमथा वर्ण समुज्ज्वल श्याम किबा त्रिभंगमथा वर्ण समुज्ज्वल श्याम नव किशोलाय शोभा श्री अंगे प्रकाश नव किशोलाय शोभा श्री अंगे प्रकाश बंधु संगे जदि तब रंग परिहास बंधु संगे जदि तब रंग परिहास अधरे वंशिति तार अनर्तेर मूलाधार अधरे वंशिति तार अनर्तेर मूलाधार शिकी चुरा के ओ भाई कोरोना विश्वास शिकी चुरा के ओ भाई कोरोना विश्वास बंधु संगे जदि तब रंग परिहास बंधु संगे जदि तब रंग परिहास से मूर्ति नयने हेरे के हो नाही घरे पीरे से मूर्ति नयने हेरे के हो नाही घरे पीरे संसारी गृहेर जे हो সংসারি গৃহীর যে গো হয় সর্বনাশ, তাই মোর মনে বড় ত্রাস, মনে বড় ত্রাস, তাই মোর মনে বড় ত্রাস, মনে বড় ত্রাস। ঘটিবে বিপদ ভারী, যেও না কহে সংসারে, ঘটিবে বিপদ ভারী, যেও না কহে সংসারে। মথুরায় কেশী তীর্থ ঘাতের সকাশ, মথুরায় কেশী তীর্থ ঘাতের সকাশ। বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস, বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস। তাকে অভিলাষ, তাকে অভিলাষ, তাকে অভিলাষ, তাকে অভিলাষ। বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস, বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস, বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস, বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস। কৃষ্ণ হে, 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 কৃষ্ণ হে। Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai. At that very moment when I was chanting Krishna Hai, I had a remembrance of our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta, Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. There was a drama performance of Rasa Leela that was done in Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī, I don't know what year, early on, in the early 2000s. And when the gopis were crying out for Krishna, when he had left that Rasa Leela, they sang in a particular tune, a special tune, Krishna Hai, Krishna Hai. And Gurudev was weeping, tears were flowing from his eyes. And I remember that tune to this day. Krishna Hai, Krishna Hai, Krishna Hai, Krishna Hai, Krishna Hey Krishna, Hey Krishna, Hey Krishna, Hey. I remember seeing Srila Gurudev, how he was at that time, just weeping, tears flowing from his eyes as they were calling out in separation. And I don't know, probably I think it's Shiv Ranjani Rag, but anyhow, everyone's very attentive to Ding Dong.
We have a visitor.
He left such an impression on me. Krishna Hey, 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 Krishna Hey. That tune. ठीक है. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dete, page 341, by Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī Pad. Yes, Swagatam. Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Dayite, Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Dayite, Damodara Vardhano Veshe Damodarāṣṭakam Vardhano Veshe Hari Nishkuta Vrindavipineshe Hari Nishkuta Vrindavipineshe Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Dayite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Dayite Vrishabhanu Dadhi Navashashi Lekhe Vrishabhanu Dadhi Navashashi Lekhe Lalita Sakhi Guna Ramita Vishakhe Lalita Sakhi Guna Ramita Vishakhe Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Dayite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Dayite Karunam Kurumai Karuna Bharite Karunam Kurumai Karuna Bharite Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Dayite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Dayite Jayo Radhe 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 Jayo Krishna Jayo Radhe Jayo Krishna Jayo Radhe Jayo Krishna Jayo Radhe Jayo Krishna वृषभानुनंदिनी श्रीमती राधा रानी की जय श्री कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय A beautiful quote from Jiva Pavana Prabhu. Now we will call out in the sound of the soul crying in separation from its eternal beloved. Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And again, I'm looking for the page number. I think it's 5. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Gurudev Gurudev Jai Jai Gurudev 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 Jai Gurudev Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Shri Gurudev ki jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Gurve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktāya Tadbhaktāya Namo Namah Ajnānatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Nama Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇ Namine Nama Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swāminiti Namine Vanchā kalpatarubhyascha Kripa sindhubhya eva cha Patitānaṁ pāvanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vācālam pangum langayate giring Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurung Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishna Vishnupad, Ashtotarashat Shri Śrīmad Shri Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And the same, thousands of Dandavat Pranams in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtottara Shatashri Śrīmad, Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Swami, Śrīla Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga, Gauriya Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas past, present, and future, including all of you who are present with us today, I offer my Dandavat Pranam. Radhe Shyam. I don't think they could hear you.
Really?
No, you're really far away from the mic.
Okay. I'm going to wait for me. Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas. Radhe, Radhe, Radhe Shyam. I was beating.
Sudevi is beating.
No, beating Thakurji's shirt.
Beating Thakurji's shirt. Not beating someone. Beating with beads. ठीक है. Uh-oh. Okay, we got feeling called out. Okay, so I've noticed that many beautiful quotes are being posted here. It seems that Harikatha is making its way in. With great honor, Parikshit Maharaj was greedy to hear the sweet pastimes of Krishna. As Shukadeva Goswami observed the moods of Parikshit Maharaj, he became so happy that from his heart he automatically spoke narrations about the Supreme Lord, Harikatha. Śrīmad Bhagavatam describes how those who are really devotees have spontaneous love and affection for Krishna. If they see a qualified devotee or disciple, an endless stream of bhakti rasa, the mellow of transcendental devotion, automatically flows from their heart in the form of their narrations of Krishna's sweet pastimes. I'm just going to stop there for a second. This reminds me of something. Our Srila Gurudev used to position certain disciples who were greedy to drink his Harikatha closer to him, so that, like a cow that gives milk when the calf is nearby, the Harikatha would flow. He would position certain devotees who were actually eager and greedy to hear close to him. I remember once in Eugene, Oregon, he requested a couple of devotees, you come and sit close. And then he began speaking. So there is something to this, that when the calf is present, then the cow will automatically give milk. If they see any qualified devotee or disciple, an endless stream of bhakti rasa automatically flows from their heart in the form of their narrations of Krishna's sweet pastimes. Those who are fortunate bathe in that bhakti rasa, and everyone else who's nearby, because of the presence of those who are greedy, will also get showered with some of the particles of that benefit. Nectar sprinkles will land on them as well. And their lives become successful. Srila Gurudev said, if you receive even a smell, like incense, from the other room, if it's in the other room and it comes in, and just a smell of what I'm giving, your life will be successful. They forever forget their lust for eating, drinking, and making merry, and all their fears and anarthas will go far away. This is really the symptom of true hearing. Shravanam means bhakti through the process of hearing. All of those personalities who were listening to Śrīmad Bhagavatam, they completely forgot their hunger, their thirst. They didn't need to go to the bathroom or anything. Complete absorption for 7 days and 7 nights. By the power of Harikatha, all of their necessities were automatically taken care of. The same thing happened to the Brajavasis when Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. What did they say? We're not hungry, we're not thirsty, we don't even want to sleep. Krishna lifted up the hill and then we entered underneath. Right? For those of you who remember that. They had no hunger, no thirst, no necessity for sleep or anything else. They were fully absorbed in drinking the beauty of Krishna. And by that, everything, their mind, their body, their soul, everything was nourished and fulfilled. Offenses will also go, and they will soon have pure prema bhakti for the lotus feet of Krishna. So Shukadeva Goswami asked Parikshit Maharaj, while he was narrating Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Do you want to take some water? Parikshit Maharaj said to Śrī Gosvāmī, no, Gurudev, I do not want to take. I am drinking the ocean of rasa flowing from your mouth. Who needs water when you're drinking rasa amrit? I do not need anything else. Go on speaking the sweet pastimes of Krishna, or as our Gurudev would say, go on, go on. Anyone who hears these sweet pastimes of Krishna will soon have pure love for him. This is certain. Their anarthas will go away and they will have nothing to worry about, neither death, suffering, nor sorrow. That's excerpted from chapter 4 of Krishna, the Lord of Sweetness, by Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Then, Śrīmad Mahaprabhu is the gardener of the desire tree of Krishna Prem. He distributes the fruits of this tree and also relishes them himself. Sri Madhavendra Puri, whose heart was saturated with Krishna Prem, was the very first sprout of this desire tree. With Sri Ishwar Puri, Madhavendra Puripad is considered the root. Ishwar Puripad was considered this first sprout. With Sri Ishwar Puri, this sprout of Prema Ras grew. The gardener, Sri Chaitanya himself, manifested as a trunk. So the trunk of the tree, the main body of the tree. And all of his associates were the branches. Previous to Madhavendra Puripad, there was no Rasamayi Upasana. There was no practice of bhakti imbued with ras. It was all Aishwarya. All saturated with the mood of awe and reverence, but no mood of spontaneous loving affection. There was no practice, no upasana for that. Devotional service and amorous love in the Madhva Sampradaya. With amorous love, there was nothing of that, or was not known about. Through the ideas that are expressed by the Tattvavadis, whom Mahaprabhu met while traveling in South India, one can understand that the worship in the Madhva Sampradaya used to be performed only in the mood of awe and reverence. Aishwarya Mayi Upasana, Srila Gurudev spoke. Then was posted, it's because we're talking about Harikatha, and I see beautiful Harikatha here, so you may have read it or not, so I'm sharing it. My dear gopis, what auspicious activities must the flute have performed to enjoy the nectar of Krishna's lips independently and leave only a taste for us gopis? Meaning the flute is taking everything and leaving only some remnant for whom that nectar is actually meant. The forefathers of the flute, the bamboo trees, shed tears of pleasure. His mother, means the bamboo's mother, the river on whose bank the bamboo was born, feels jubilation, and therefore her blooming lotus flowers are standing like hair on her body. That is nectar. We have heard that when someone is still in the early stages of chanting, he constantly commits offenses to the Lord's holy name. As a result of these offenses, he barely obtains material wealth and fame, as well as abundant opportunities for sense enjoyment. Hence what I was speaking yesterday. And he even sees this affluence and recognitions as signs of the Lord's favor on him. One time we went into one person's house in Las Vegas for a program. And they lived in a very exclusive, gated community. You walk in and the roof is like 30 feet high, and it's quite palatial and amazing, massive, beautiful, expensive place. And Sudevi says to them, "You are so fortunate." And they said, "Oh, this is nothing." Sudevi said, "I wasn't referring to your house. I was referring to the fact that from the very beginning of your life, you have been somehow associated with Sanatana Dharma, with knowledge of Krishna and the names of Krishna." But they were like, "Oh, no. They were thinking my fortune is this big house." But Sudevi wasn't referring to that. So, as a result, one thinks, even sees this affluence and recognition as signs of the Lord's favor on him. Oh, so much mercy is coming to me. Now I'm so much more famous. I have such more wealth I have, such better facility for sense gratification. The Lord is very kind to me. Yes, my new car. It's Krishna's mercy. Radharani Kripa. We hear it every day. If he fails to understand that this opulence is the result of his offenses and in fact an obstacle in the path of bhakti, and if he does not act cautiously, then the chances of him becoming more humble than a blade of grass are very low. I should have known that was from Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikram Maharaj. It totally sounds like him. Okay. So, we're going to continue just for a few minutes with the Upadeshavali of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Oh. Number 8. Preaching without proper conduct falls within the category of karma, mundane activity. Without criticizing the nature of others, one should correct oneself. This is my personal instruction. This one is a tough one. Preaching without proper conduct falls within the category of karma. Our Srila Gurudev also said, following the activities of bhakti without the proper intention can also fall into the category of karma, or reward-seeking activity, like Ekadashi, which is tomorrow. He said if we're not doing it for the purpose of attaining bhakti or love and devotion to Krishna, then it becomes like reward-seeking activity.
It's karma at best.
Karma at best, Gurudev said. Gurudev ne kaha, it is karma at best. So preaching without proper conduct falls within the category of karma. Now I told you the other day that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada would not instruct that child to stop eating sweets because he himself was taking sweets at that time. So he told them, come back in 3 days. They came back in 3 days, and then he tells the kid, you should not eat sweets, it's not good for you. And they said, why didn't you tell him 3 days ago? It's very easy to say. He said, because at that time I myself was taking sweets. So how can I tell him not to do it if I myself am doing it?
Do you think that there's another way of looking at that statement, and it's not just about practicing yourself, but it's like doing nefarious activities and then preaching, and it gives a bad name to Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Like somebody can have, let's say, they're a brahmachari or sannyasi or a married person, and they're having illicit relations. And then they sit down and they speak about controlling the senses, and vacho veda, manasudara vastaveda, not only about necessarily practicing, but also doing other worldly, low-class things, and then going out on a stage of bhakti and preaching like that. Can it also mean that?
I hope you heard what Sudevi was asking. She was asking that could this statement of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada also apply to, let's say, brahmacharis and sannyasis who are engaging in nefarious activities?
I said householders too.
Or householders doing all kinds of nonsense activities, then taking the stage and telling other people to follow what they themselves are not following. Yes, of course it refers to them also, but it refers to all. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu is saying what is really preaching is actually sharing one's own practice. Apani achar. Apana means one's own practice, one's own etiquette. Then they can actually properly preach. Otherwise, it is weakened. Or, if depending on the severity of the nefariousness of their activities, it can even be detrimental. If you hear the sweet pastimes of Krishna, Rasa Lila especially, from someone who is completely absorbed in lustful activities, it will have the exact opposite effect to hearing it from someone who is completely free from any attachment or lustful activities in this world. That's why it says, Vikriditam Rajabidubiridam cha Vishnum Shradhan Vito Nishniyat Atavarnayadya Bhaktim Param Bhagavatim Pratilabhyakaman Hridrogam Ashvapahinota Chirena Dhira. Who should you hear from? A sober person. That means someone who can control their senses. Who can control their senses? Truly, only someone who is completely obsessed, 100% with Krishna. Then they have no attraction to anything of this material world whatsoever. When you hear from them, that is the cure for disease of lust in the heart. If we're hearing from someone who is just trying to make money, trying to gain name and fame, trying to increase their sense gratification, even if they tell it eloquently, beautifully, sweetly, powerfully, this and that, and make you weep, it will only serve to increase the mundane lust within the heart. So it is so essential to be careful where we're hearing from, who we're hearing from, what we're hearing from, what is their activity. Are they endeavoring to please their Gurudev? Are they trying to follow their Gurudev cent percent? Are they creating, concocting, adding, twisting, subtracting, doing anything? So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is saying, first, preaching without proper conduct falls within the category of karma. What is the result? Preaching is also part of bhakti. What is the purpose of my preaching? It is to please Guru and Krishna, to please Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu has given the order. Wherever you go, whomever you meet, tell them about Krishna. So to follow the order of Mahaprabhu, this is considered bhakti. But without proper conduct means if we're doing things which are against the teachings of Gurudev, the teachings of Mahaprabhu and Krishna, and preaching simultaneously, we're not following, but we're telling others to do it, then what happens as a result? Well, the result of any activity in bhakti, because the activity in one sense is not different from Krishna, because it is considered transcendental. Harinam, Mahaprasad, all of the activities that we do in bhakti, if we are not doing it for the purpose of pleasing Krishna, if it is for the purpose of increasing our kanaka, kamani, and pratishtha, then what will the result be? Karma. Reward-seeking activity. The result of my preaching will be kanaka, kamani, and pratishtha, instead of devotion to Krishna. So he says mundane activity. That includes doing kirtan for name and fame, for money, for position, for sense gratification. Means singing the holy names of the Lord. Doing that kind of kirtan or preaching or anything. If any activity that we're doing in the name of bhakti is not with the purpose of pleasing Krishna, anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma adi anavratam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttama, then it can't really be considered bhakti. It can be considered a semblance of aropsiddha bhakti, sangasiddha bhakti, karma mishra bhakti, mixed with fruitive desires. It's not pure bhakti. The result of bhakti mixed with fruitive desires is the attainment of those fruitive desires, as poor Dhruva Maharaj had to endure. Why am I saying poor? Because he had a desire, the greatest material desire that this world has known. He wanted a kingdom greater than that of his grandfather, Brahma, Lord Brahma. He wanted a kingdom greater than his. He did intense austerities for 6 months to appeal to the Lord to manifest before him, all the while maintaining and increasing that desire within his heart. He had intense greed for it, intense desire, and he did such intense austerities that within 6 months the Lord appeared before him. When he saw the Lord, his jaw dropped, literally. He couldn't even say anything. He wasn't old enough to be able to offer prayers. Nārāyaṇa touched him with his conch shell here. And by that, Saraswati began dancing on his tongue, the goddess of knowledge, learning, poetry. He spoke so many beautiful prayers, but what did he tell? Oh my God. Now that I have the most beautiful gem in front of me, I realize that all I've been desiring and praying for is like broken glass or worthless things like the husk of rice. Nothing. But because he had approached the Lord with that desire in his heart, the Lord told him, because you approached me with this, you must accept it. And so he had to rule over the Dhruva planet, the Dhruva star, what we call the North Star, for hundreds of thousands of years. And even at the time of the dissolution of this material world, that does not become dissolved. So Dhruva Maharaj had to accept the result because he approached the Lord with bhakti, but full of desire for something material. So our Gurudev would always tell us, don't have any other desire. Don't have any other desire. When you pray to the Lord, don't pray for anything else. Only what? Shyama Sundar Shikanda Shekara Smeraha Samurli Manohara Radhikara Sikamang Kripanidhe Svapriya Charana Kinkarin Kuru.
If you pray for the highest, automatically every lower thing is included in that.
Srila Gurudev said, if you pray for the highest thing, automatically all other necessities which are required for the attainment of that will have to come. Whatever is necessary. That's the meaning of establishing a goal. Let's say you want to, oh gosh, let's see, who am I looking? Okay, I saw Govinda Rupini's name just now. If you want to drive to Seattle, well, maybe I'll make it New York since you're on the East Coast now. If you want to drive to New York, you first set your goal as New York. And then you're starting in Alachua. So every point on the road, or even off the road, is in essence favorable for the attainment of that goal. You have to go off the road to get petrol. You have to go off the road to get something to eat. You might have to stop at any devotee's home or a hotel along the way. But that's all for the attainment of that goal. So if you set your goal and fix your goal, then everything along the way will be favorable for the attainment of that goal. If you do not set a goal, and you just drive, you can have fun, but you're not really going to attain any particular goal or destination. So, the activities of approaching the Lord or doing the Lord's service, but not really for the service of the Lord, without proper conduct, it falls into the category of karma or mundane activity. And you will know because you will receive the result of that and become attached to the result of that. What is that? Kanaka, material wealth; kamani, sense gratification; pratishta, name, fame, position, power, adoration, and all of that kind of thing. That will be the result, but no melting of the heart. No movement of the heart toward devotion to Krishna. This is how you will know. Then he says, without criticizing the nature of others, one should correct oneself. This is my personal instruction. Without criticizing the nature of others. This one I need to really consider deeply. We need to be discriminative. If we are not discriminative, if we do not stand for something, then we will fall for anything. So it's not that we need to dwell on the stool of others. I always compared it to this. If you're walking on the Parikrama Marg, doing Parikrama of Vrindavan, and there's a pile of broken glass on that Parikrama Marg, there's two things you can do. One, step around it, and also warn those who are with you, be careful for the glass. That's called common decency, kindness, affection. It's not criticizing the nature of others, it's saying, be careful, this can be detrimental to our forward movement. So, bypass it. A nicer thing to do, a better thing to do would be to move it off the road so that others will not also have to endure that difficulty. But there's no use meditating on the broken glass. It's not going to do us any good. That won't help us on our goal. So those things which are unfavorable for bhakti, we must be aware of them. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is not telling us to be foolish or stupid here. He gave thousands and thousands of instructions how to discriminate what is favorable and what is not favorable for bhakti. But he doesn't want us to remain in a state of constant criticism. Because when you are meditating on the faults of others, what happens? Dhyayato vishaya pungsam. While contemplating that, one develops attachment. You develop relationship for it. Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja said this about any disciple who is accepted, any guru who falls. He said, as they are remembering their Gurudev 3 times a day, dhyayang stubhangstasya yasastri sandhyam, 3 times a day, morning, noon, evening, during their mantras, what will happen? They won't only be remembering their Gurudev, but they will also be remembering the flaws, the fall down, the faults. And by remembering that, one's mind will go there, and that will also create something detrimental for that disciple. Well, they will also be remembering the faults and the nefarious activities, and they will also enter into that mindset. So without criticizing the nature of others, one should correct oneself. Correcting oneself also includes being discriminative. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavratam. The first 2 lines of the definition of pure bhakti are telling us what is not pure bhakti, without any other desire. Not covered by desire for impersonal liberation or reward-seeking activity. This is the first 2 lines. The last line, all it says is Bhaktir Uttama. This is pure bhakti. And the 3rd line says Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. This is actually the definition of pure bhakti. Anukulyena, what is favorable for Krishna, and Krishna Anushilanam, what is exclusively for his happiness, pleasure, and benefit. That is bhakti. But the first 2 lines tell us what is not bhakti. Also in the verse defining Sharanagati, Anukulyasya Sankalpa, Pratikulyasya Varjanam. The first one is saying, accept everything which is favorable for the development of your bhakti. And the second one is saying, this is the definition of surrender. The second one is saying, and naturally, if you accept everything that is favorable, you will have to reject everything that is unfavorable. That means we should be aware of what is not favorable. Pratikulyasya Varjanam. Making a firm resolution to avoid the unfavorable. And then look at Upadeshamrita. The first verse and the second verse. Before telling the positive, Rupa Goswami is warning us about the negatives. The first verse is talking about who is qualified to accept disciples all over the world. Who can control all of their urges? Vacho vegam, manasa vegam, krodha vegam, jifva vegam, udara vegam, upasta vegam. Who can control all of their urges? The urges of speech, the urges of the mind, the urges of anger, the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals. They are qualified to accept disciples all over the world. In other words, one who cannot do that is not qualified to accept disciples all over the world. The second verse then says, it's also telling what is detrimental for bhakti. Ati ahara means overconsumption, not just of things through the medium of the senses. Ati ahara, of material stuff, material things. Through the ears, through the eyes, through the nose, through the tongue, through the sense of touch. Overconsumption.
Didn't they say even like collecting too many books?
I don't remember. Prayasha. Over endeavoring for material achievements. Etc. Prayasas cha. And so forth. Prajalpa. Prajalpa means speaking mundane things. Things which are not directly related to bhakti and how to progress on the path of bhakti. Niyama agraha and niyama agraha. Over adherence or under adherence to the rules and regulations of scriptures. And jana sangas, associating with worldly minded persons, and lolyam, greed for material things. Shadbir, bhaktir, vinashyati. These 6 things are destructive to one's inclination on the path of bhakti. And even in the next verse, the verse which is telling all of the things that are favorable for bhakti, utsaha, nishtaya, dharya, tat karma pravartanat. Another thing is added in there, very interesting. What is favorable for bhakti? Sangat tyagat. Avoiding unfavorable association is favorable for bhakti. So with all of these evidences, you can see that it doesn't mean that one should not be discriminative. One should understand what is favorable and what is unfavorable, but without criticizing the nature of others. That means meditating on them, contemplating them, meditating on their faults, etc. One should know what is not good, what is unfavorable, and what is favorable, and then try to go toward the favorable without meditating on the faults of others. What will happen as a result of that? One will also begin to manifest these faults in themselves. One should correct oneself. And then we can look at ourselves also. My God. Yes, I have so much to be able to correct. We should be careful not to bring it to the point of, I'm so low, I'm so fallen, that everything and everyone is above me, so I will accept everything and anything in the name of bhakti. This becomes sahajya. It's cheap. It's nonsense. And it also will contribute to the degradation of the name of bhakti, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, the teachings of our Gurudev and everything. This does not mean to be foolish or stupid, but it means to understand. It means to understand that I have so many faults in me. I don't need to meditate on the faults of others. I have so much in myself I need help with. So without criticizing the nature of others, one should correct oneself. This is my personal instruction. And our Srila Gurudev, he would say that those who are beyond the tendency to make mistakes, those who are beyond the tendency to fall under illusion, those who are beyond the tendency of having imperfect senses or the tendency to cheat others, they have the capacity and they have the order from above to adjust people, to check them. Will my criticism help them? Will it actually benefit them? Will they listen to my criticism? Or will they just become angry at me and reject me? This is another consideration. Is it going to be beneficial for them or for myself or for anyone else? But to be aware and acknowledge whether something is favorable or unfavorable, this is common sense. And we see that our Guru Varga have given us ample instructions to have common sense on the path of bhakti. So we should be careful not to take a instruction like this out of context of everything else that they've given and just make it a free-for-all. Trust me, I can guarantee you 1,000,000,000% that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada would be furious if we did just that. So would our Param Gurudev, so would Srila Prabhupada, so would our Gurudev. Oh yes, it's all okay. In the name of my Gurudev, in the name of Bhakti, in the name of Mahaprabhu, in the name of Rupa Goswami. Whatever you like, as you like, whatever path, whatever introduction, whatever twist, whatever anything. No. This instruction here.
They're like, go on. We're back.
Sorry, I got some sawdust in my eyes today, so I can't. I keep keep clearing my eyes here. What is the recipe to stop one from always meditating on the faults of others? Because we have the tendency to meditate. What? What does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. Always hear about Krishna. Always remember Krishna and never forget him. To hear the sweet pastimes of Krishna from the mouths, from the lips of the pure devotee who has darshan of Krishna. Then we'll be able to think of those sweet pastimes. Think of the favorable things. Think of all those things instead of the, you ant, why are you going for my sugar? We can criticize anything easily and absorb our minds in it. Let it become a thing in our heart, a deep absorption. It actually roots itself and becomes like a cancer of some kind. Always meditating on the faults of others. So instead of thinking about all mundane things of this world, if we think about Krishna, if we hear the pastimes of Krishna, this is the Maha Oshadhi, the topmost remedy for all kinds of detestable things of this world. Detestable things means how our heart becomes full of all kinds of lust and anger and greed and madness and envy and pride and all of these things. To hear, to remember, to repeat the sweet pastimes of Krishna as we have heard from our Guru Varga. To share that, like we shared earlier, how the gopis were jealous of Krishna's flute. They're like, that flute is taking so much of what is our property. That is the touch of Krishna's transcendental lips. He's taking our property. And so they're expressing some kind of jealousy toward Krishna's flute. Of course they would. How is it that that piece of bamboo, what kind of austerities has that bamboo done in previous lifetimes to be able to receive the adharamrit, the nectar of Krishna's lips constantly? And it's only leaving a little remnant for us? Its parents must be so proud. And what feeds it? What nourishes it? The river nourishes it. And she's so proud of her son, the flute, that bamboo, that her hairs are standing on end in the form of lotus flowers manifesting from the river. So hearing that Krishna Katha again and again and again, singing about the glories of Krishna and his pure devotees, this will gradually bring us to be focused on that, and attachment will form to what we spend our time with. Every day when we go to sing about Sri Rupa Goswami, I keep thinking, if I keep singing about him every day, the more I sing to him and about him, the more that we remember his glories, the more we remember his pastimes, the more attachment we will form to him. Because we're spending our time on that. What we spend our time on, we form a bond with. We've developed attachment for it. So if we spend our time thinking about Gurudev, thinking about Vaishnavas, Nityananda Prabhu, Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami, Radha, Krishna, if we engage our mind in thinking about these personalities and their mercy, their pastimes, their glories, then attachment, connectedness will form in our hearts. And that will be our life. Instead of Maya Sangsar, Krishna Sangsar will become our life. Bhaktivedānta Thakur says, Krishnera Sangsara Koro. Enter into the Sangsar of Krishna. Chari Anachar. Give up all kinds of anarthas, things which are not favorable for bhakti. Jive Doya. Be merciful to the jivas. Krishna Nam. Chant Krishna's name and give Krishna's name. Sarva Dharma Sar. This is the essence of all forms of dharma or religiosity. So Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanuga Gurvarga ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Not Chana, Chari, Chadi, with a dot under the D. Anachar. It's from that bhajan, Nadiya Godrume Nityananda Mahajam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Jai Gurudev, Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Gurudev, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Shri Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rupa Gauri Guru Varga ki jai, Pradipam Shri Jnana Guru ki jai, Prem Purushottam Sachidananda Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vinod Bihari Ji ki jai, Radha Raman Ji ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahatma ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Govinda looked down and saw fallen monkeys everywhere. They're just playing. So who noticed that picture of Radha being shy, pushing away Krishna? That little picture there, that is the heart of our Srila Gurudev. He asked Śrī Didi, can you paint my heart? It is, the original painting is present within Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī upstairs above the main temple altar.
We took them there.
In Sevakunj, we previously brought you there. And Srila Gurudev had Śrī Didi paint that manifestation of his heart. Basically, Srimati Radhika is in man, jealous anger, and Krishna is endeavoring to pacify her, praying at her lotus feet, Smaragarala Kandanam, Mama Shira Shimandanam, Dehi Patapalamam Udaram. Please be merciful to me and place your 2 lotus feet on my head. So this is the mood of the Rupanugas, always wanting to see Krishna in such a beautiful way, praying for the mercy of his pure devotees. So, I just wanted to thank you very much for giving us the opportunity for remembering the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and Guru Varga. I also want to express our indebtedness to each and every one of you for daily giving us the opportunity to do our Guru Seva, which is our life and soul. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandavat pranam.
Hasta mañana.
Hare Krishna.
Radhe Radhe. Jivriyama Dumani.
Kal milenge.
Radhe Radhe.